the space that I'm in now is my wife and I share this space. Like we'll switch off working down here. And so like I have to keep some of this stuff as like a, it's like a neutral ground. And I bought this, it was this painting that I bought at a consignment store and it was like a herd of stallions like running through a like a meadow. And there's like mountains in the background and there's like a rainbow that's like shooting over the top of this herd of stallions. And my wife's like, you can't put that up in here. It was just like,
Yeah.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
and it actually kind of
That'd be
looks funny in the background. I tried it. It looked kind of odd, but it was pretty sweet though.
Nah, I mean, because I realize with some of my podcasts I've done, I haven't really done like a proper introduction, especially for like both of us. But yeah, I was looking through you guys' account. Terraformers, that's your company?
Yeah, Terraform.
Terraform, got you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What what are you guys all about?
But yeah, Terraform Projects is a full company name, and it's really, it's a company that's here to develop spaces for healing. We're thinking
Hmm.
about like where we go now. Most of us go now for doctor's visits and our healthcare practitioners, and I think we're trying to usher in like this new paradigm for what it looks like to design, build, and operate spaces for healing. Yeah, and
Okay.
so I mean, you probably see it too, just like the clinics that we go to, the doctor's offices, even like the hospitals that we're at are just like lifeless, soulless
So
places. Yeah,
don't even get me started,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
I say that all the time. Like they're fucking bland, white, and then you got like I mean, per my opinion, but modern art or like postmodern art, like fucking awful. I'm dying or I'm sick and I'm staring at this piece of garbage. I want this to end even faster. Like majority of that artwork
yeah,
just causes anxiety in me. I'm like, why would you put this up? Like it's just like, no, I love that, man. That's amazing. I'm glad someone in the world's doing that because I would say this to other people. They're endly. Who gives a fuck? Just get in and out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, just like the machine the hospital is. Like, nah, fuck
yeah,
that. People should be surrounded by
yeah,
beautiful paintings when they're fucking sick. I mean, there's
yeah.
studies on this. You want to be surrounded by beautiful things. We're just surrounded by ugliness every single day. No wonder mental health is through the fucking roof. People want to off themselves. Yeah, I want to off myself too. I drive by that same ugly ass building every fucking day. No, I love that. No, I
Yeah, you're
love
speaking
someone
our
doing something
language.
about it.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah, I think to get into the more like spiritual side of things, I guess you can say, we're trying to and to kind of riff off of what you're saying, like the existing inventory of buildings reminds people that they're sick. It's a combination of the architecture to the design, but also the systems that are in place and just kind of the behaviors that the architecture invokes when people like go inside. Like the building itself is probably not beautiful. You walk in, you sit in this uncomfortable waiting room, you take your turn, you fill out your papers, like you're outsourcing all of your health and wellness to a professional, right? The act of even going to these buildings is kind of like delegating responsibility to someone else to take care of you. So you go into these spaces, and the first thing that invokes is likely more fear. Like, what is my diagnosis going to
Yes.
be? How am I going to get better? Is this person going to help me? And then the space itself is not welcoming or safe. It doesn't get you in that other vibration whatsoever. So our goal is to create spaces that remind you that you are whole and remind you that disease and disease is a part of the human experience and that you're fully capable of doing this on your own journey. You need support in the right environment occasionally, but the spaces that we create should remind you that you are the creator. You are the person at the wheel who is going to get through this. You're just taking a visit that every human does when they get sick, just to make sure they've got it, they know what's going on and they know how to heal themselves the best way. So, as hard as that is to describe, those are the spaces that we want to create. And we can go into more detail, kind of
Yeah.
like some nuances and stuff, but big picture, that's what Terraform Projects is trying to do.
And to get more specific, is it like you want to change the architecture of the building, the interior, just the objects, like the whole, like how far are you guys going on with this?
yeah. And it goes, yeah, through everything with the architecture, the interior design, all the way to the types of practitioners that we're going to have in the facility, the events that we have on site. So
Right.
it goes pretty deep. We start with the layer of the physical space, the architecture and design and the construction, and that's our background. I was in commercial real estate as a broker, and Mike was in
Okay.
construction management and development his whole career. So like that's kind of our niche, our specialty, and that's where we see there's a huge lacking. Um, but yeah, it'll be how we really curate a space to bring in the types of
Mm.
practitioners we want, and then even just to create the experiences that we think are optimal to really help people along. Really, it's like the healing journey is what people call it, or even the journey of self-discovery. They're one and the same to us. So the facilities that we're creating are really meant to promote and encourage that, like this journey that you're on to really find who you are is the same journey that you're on to help heal whatever's ailing you. And so these properties, these campuses, are meant as at an entirety to really um, help people along through that. So architecture design is one facet of it, and it's fun to talk about that too. And it's so obvious, right? It's so glaring, like what's wrong right now, that it's pretty easy to look at and figure out, okay, what can we do that's better.
Man, I didn't expect to be on this topic, but I love this topic because like one thing, like I live in Cleveland, Ohio, right? And people don't realize Cleveland was like the sixth biggest city 100 years ago. So much wealthier. I mean, the wealthiest man in history was born in Cleveland, John D. Rockefeller. So
Oh,
like
really? Yeah.
there's a lot of money. There used to be a lot of money here. And like and I remember as a kid, because I grew up in Cleveland around downtown and stuff, I would drive around these beautiful neoclassical buildings and
Mhm.
stuff. And I could see the architecture going down when I get further out of the city. And a lot of these places, they're like run down and stuff. But I'm going through and I'm like, this looks like ancient Rome. I'm walking through ancient Greece. People wouldn't expect this when I say Cleveland, Ohio. There's some places that look like ancient Rome, like when you walk
Yeah.
downtown with big ass statues. And I'm like, this what blows my mind is because I I used to train someone at my gym that was an architect, and I brought this up to him, and I'm like, why don't we build beautiful things anymore? Because it's not a money problem. Because people 100 years ago did not. There's more wealth today than there ever was. People had more money today, and we have more resources, more technology. It would be easier to build these beautiful buildings. But like, why aren't they erected anymore? We build a bunch of bullshit, just like steel and glass. Everything looks like a community college. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, it drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I love I love looking back at the history of all these towns and cities that were established, and you're like, the things that they built originally, well, all those buildings were founded. They don't say they were built, which is a kind of another rabbit hole if you want
Yeah.
to go
Oh
down there.
yeah, yeah. Let's go down there. Let's
But
go down there. Yeah,
yeah,
you're damn right about that.
well, like to touch on that point, yeah, everything today is money is gotten into everything, and there's a scarcity mindset that no, we can't build it. We can't build something that's beautiful that's going to last 1,000 years. Not even, I mean, 500 easily. Like you can build something that'll last that long, and it costs more money. But when your denominator is 500 years instead of 50 years, then that cost, is well worth it. So yeah, it's just a mindset change. Everything's aimed towards scarcity and fear, um, and the designs reflect that, right? Like the designs of the things we walk into do not make you feel good.
Yes. And I would
There's
actually
a
argue you would. You, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's a University of Washington campus, which is 5 minutes from my house. Back in probably the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was like a Yukon exhibition. I forget the title of it, but it was kind of like a little World's Fair type thing where they would construct these gorgeous buildings, and they're told that they're temporary. But you go through, and if you look online too, you can see some of the examples of these buildings that were constructed, and they look like European style
Yes.
architecture. Um, And you go to the UW campus right now, and there's still some of those buildings that are up, and they're wonderful, they're beautiful. But yeah, you just you don't see that anymore. And yeah, we can kind of go, look into like, well, what happened to these buildings? Why were they torn down? But yeah, that might be a little bit of a tangent on this conversation. But Mike and I talk a lot about like beauty and like what beauty does to a society and to your, psychology. And it's like, just imagine what those those cultures, those societies were showing their people by building these beautiful pieces of architecture. Like, it's so inspiring. Like, can you imagine walking through a city or a town and you're surrounded by this type of architecture? It's so inspiring to the individual. Like that, it helps kind of fuel the liveliness and the fuel the excitement and fuel the passion, I think, of the people who are in those spaces. And so it's kind of this cyclical thing where you build these beautiful places, the people who are in them get inspired, and then they turn around and, build more beautiful things or create more beautiful things. So we've lost touch with this idea of beauty and what beauty can really do for humanity, right? For the individual, but also for humanity as a collective. So when we think about what we're building, like, beauty is a huge part of that. And beauty can go so far, and also how we feel, not just from inspiration or from passion, but from our perspective. The Terraform perspective is like, it can make you feel safe, it can make you feel calm and at peace and at ease. And then even on a far end of the spectrum, like, it can make you feel transcendent, and it can make you feel awe and wonder, right? This range of emotions that are all pivotal and essential in this process of, really discovering who you are and moving beyond and past these states of disease.
Yeah, and like, no, totally, totally. Like, and another thing too with the money, people claim, oh, it's too, costs and stuff. No,
Yeah.
look at Europe. People travel all over the world to look at a fucking building. Think about that.
Yeah.
And then they sell stuff and they make so much damn money. Think about if America did that. People like, if we built beautiful things in Cleveland, random people would just drive to Cleveland just to look at a damn building. People do that all over Europe. You know what I'm saying? Their whole economy, you could say, is based on that. Just
Mm.
old, beautiful buildings. And we don't do that. Like, that's why I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And going back to the beauty thing is so controversial. What is beautiful? Because then you
Mm.
have to say, what is ugly? What is not beautiful? So this is very basically, we're talking discrimination here. Because the thing is everybody beautiful? That can't be true. Is every building beautiful? I mean, take this into anything. Because
Yeah.
where our culture is, we can't talk about beauty like
Mm.
this anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes down to this thing, and this is the healing journey too, like developing your sense of what you believe beauty to be, I think, is an important exercise. Most people, if they're not create like a creative, like typical creative, they will never establish their own definition of beauty in terms of art, the built environment, like any sort of like physical art. Um, and so that, I think, is a huge, knowing what your definition of beauty is a huge component of expressing outwardly your art. And as humans, we're here to create, we're here to produce art of some kind, and kind of being like almost taking off that limb of defining what beauty is keeps you from identifying your creative
Mhm.
outlet. And that's a part of your authenticity too. And I think that just kind of fuels into this, like you were saying, this kind of times that we're in where we can't talk about beauty. We can't talk about how each one of us are different. We're like, it's just preventing us from finding authenticity, and it's just fueling more divisiveness. So it's all just kind of a silly game right now.
Yeah. Because
Do
if
you
you,
think beauty is really subjective? I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, I think it's subjective. Um, I think it's absolutely subjective, and I think there's also, um, like, each person has their own truth, though, of what beauty is. And I think that's what Mike's kind of touching at, is like, you each need to find your own truth for what beauty is. And I mean, you know, it's also kind of hard to argue that when you see something that just has no, you know, that doesn't have any soul or passion put behind it, right? And there's just a lot. It's meant for, you know, efficiencies and, you know, for the sake of
Yeah.
cost cutting. There still is beauty in those things. It's just, and maybe it's for one person, they look at it like, God damn, that's the most cost effective building I've ever seen, you know? Like, and to them, it's gorgeous. Like, how can you,
Yes.
and how can you argue with that, right? So there is a subjective nature to beauty. And I think each one of us just need to find and define what's our own.
Yeah.
And the next question I'll ask you is, to what extent though? Like it's completely subjective? Like it's everybody's opinion?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a deep
Um,
question. Go ahead, Mike.
well, yeah, I think it's I think beauty is subjective, but I think there may I don't know, this is contradictory, but there may be somewhat of an objectivity to it. Beauty is I'm assuming is likely defined based on a kind of like a collective consciousness as well. So I think we will always have extremes where one person who thinks it's beautiful, someone will always think it's ugly. But I think as we move towards developing our intuition and our authentic selves, we will start to see things like the architecture of today that is built based on money. I think we will see those things as tragic, right? We will be able to feel that those things were not built with a single ounce of authenticity. And when we look upon it, that the energy that went into it will then reflect back to the person viewing it. And even the architect themselves like can't deny that their authenticity didn't go into it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's not maybe the right word for objectivity, but I think that's how beauty and tragedy will be looked at.
See, I might, again, like, you can tell me when to stop talking.
No, keep going.
Remind you guys. But I strictly believe, I mean, yes, everybody has their own opinion, and like, I like this, I like that, and someone might think that's ugly. But I think more at the end of the day, I don't know how to put it on a scale, but I do believe it's completely objective. I mean, like, you could
Mm,
break it down to mathematics. Like, all these old buildings follow the golden ratio. Even the human body, like the Vitruvian Man, Da Vinci's I'm talking about
yeah,
that
yeah.
that art piece with the guy with the
Oh yeah,
multiple arms and
Leonardo. Yeah,
legs.
yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah,
getting at like you're
like
getting at sacred geometry.
yeah, like because like that's just objective. Like I remember like an example. Uh, because I went to Florence. I've got some family that lives in Florence, Italy, and I remember we're in the downtown area, and I was trying to find the church, the big famous white church. And I'm walking around. I'm like pissed off as fuck. I'm like, where the fuck is my family? I'm fucking lost. I don't know where I'm at. There's a bunch of tourists. And then I I accidentally walked on the church, and then boom, my mind went blank. I forgot about every trouble I had in my life, and that's what beauty does to you. And and I'm saying that's not subjective. That happens to all humans because everybody that was around there saw the same thing because the whole thing follows sacred geometry and the golden ratio. Because I want to, like, of course, there's an opinion like I like this, I like that, but like I don't know, like there's all these people just staring at a building. Like Americans, a lot of Americans don't understand that. They're like, what's so special about these buildings? Like, you can't look them up online and look at them? Like, no, man, you gotta see it in person.
Yeah,
But like, even like,
Yeah.
because I'm a trainer, I love bodybuilding and everything, and like, there's proportions that people like what you find attractive in a partner. I mean, it's a 1-to-6 ratio. Like, for example, like, I'm not proportionally beautiful. I'm complete cut in half. Like from my belly button. No, I'm dead serious. I'm 1-to-1. So I look kind of awkward, but like a good ratio would be 1-to-6. So your legs would be a little
Yeah.
bit longer than your torso. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? There's even like stuff like that in the
yeah,
human body, and obviously like the sport of bodybuilding follows this because that's how you win on that contest. You're gonna lose. Like I'm gonna lose. I got long arms, I got a long torso, short legs. Like I'll be a horrible bodybuilder, even if I'm in good
yeah.
shape.
You're talking about
I see what you're saying.
1.618. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
phi ratio. Yeah, like
Yeah.
everything, your
I
fingers,
think
your arms, your legs, they all follow that. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes.
yeah, I thanks for bringing that up. Like beauty follows nature, and all of those numbers or all the proportions and the things we're talking about, sacred geometry, comes from nature. We come from nature, so I think anytime we create in that manner, and I think it's pretty natural for us to create in that manner, like it most likely will be beautiful um, to everyone. I'm only saying that because there's exceptions to everything and there's a spectrum to everything, but I think I agree with you, Emily. Like the golden ratio, when all those things are used properly, it it creates
Yeah.
gorgeous things and undeniably beautiful.
There's
Yeah.
yeah, Mike and I have had this conversation. It's interesting because we talk a lot about like your true authentic self and coming into contact and just de- going deeper and deeper into who you are. And as you do that, you touch on and you get into, you can call it a divine blueprint. You can call it does reference sacred geometry in a sense. Like we all come from a very divine sense, a divine being, and then as we come through reality, we take on, culture's values and family values, and we change, but at the essence and the core of us, nature, and we are nature. Humanity is nature. We all have this blueprint, and people talk about sacred geometry being at the foundational level of even our genetic code, and like the even the smallest living organisms, they have some form of sacred geometry to them. And so you're kind of saying like, okay, as you get down to this true essence of this blueprint of this sacred code, then it is all beautiful, right? Because that's what we are. And then the subjectivity of it comes in from like our perspectives, and the values that we hold and the beliefs that we hold, and those things can change your perspective of maybe what we're calling is like this objective beauty, right? The the divine blueprint beauty, and nature exemplifies it, and we can exemplify it. We exemplify it as well. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of it's a deep. This beauty conversation is like a very deep conversation, and it goes both ways, right? We're finding like the subjectivity in it, and we're also finding like an objectivity in it as well.
Totally 100%.
Yeah, I think oh, to elaborate on that too, and like if nature is the fundamental blueprint to sacred geometry, then shouldn't all nature be beautiful?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, and then if I go to a creek where the cottonwoods have been mismanaged and they haven't been trimmed, and it's just like a mess of low hanging kind of sucker branches, and it just looks messy, to me, like that's where this becomes subjective, because to me the messiness is not as a sign, it's not beautiful, right? But that's something in my individual being that is finding a flaw where someone else, maybe someone more enlightened or just a different perspective, sees those little sucker branches and the cluster of all of it, and maybe they see that as beautiful. And so there becomes these perceptions like my trauma, um, call it that, my trauma in life desires something
Mhm.
orderly and clean, whereas someone else may see the chaos as beautiful. So I think that's where it gets the line between objective and subjective comes into play.
Well, see, the thing is, like, the English language gets updated all the time with new dictionaries, and definitions change all the time. I feel like people don't realize this, but like, I guess we would have to look up what does it mean, because when I say the word beauty, I like to think we're all thinking the same thing in our heads. But what's the actual definition of beauty? Like, what? I don't think I've looked it up recently.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Who
got
writes a
my iPad
dictionary?
on me.
Who writes
I'm
a
actually gonna
dictionary
pull it up.
anyway? We have to question who writes a dictionary, because it's like, do they really know what beautiful is? Right? Like,
Right, right.
have they had this
I
conversation? Like,
An example I could give,
Yeah.
because I was looking into this more. I had a conversation on friendship, and And what it was really strange. I don't even know how I got there, but like I'm like, what does it mean to be a friend? And someone brought up like, uh, well, you can have sex with your friend, and I'm like, no. As you can see, this is my definition creeping in. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't have sex with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
friends. The relationship changes after that. But we actually looked up the definition of a friend, and it actually did say it can involve sex. It can, you can have sex with someone every single day,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
no, and then I'm like, no, this is bullshit. I'm like, I don't agree with this. That's fucking weird because the relationship changes because you're sharing the sacred act with someone.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't do this with all my friends. And I love my friends, but not in that way. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's for a special someone. But I just thought that was
Well,
strange.
there's a different. That's called friends with benefits. So there's a different dictionary word for that. They
Right,
should have
right.
put it. They should have
Yeah.
moved
Yeah.
that to that.
That's
Yeah.
two things.
But I just thought that was interesting because like I never like I don't know, like I'm like what the hell? Because like obviously, it's interesting talking to people like this because like what they think about friendship because I would say like I mean like you're going into romance. I mean like you don't do that. That's not a casual thing to do. Right
Yeah.
here I just looked up beauty on Google. It says the quality or group of qualities in a person or a thing that gives pleasure to the senses or the mind. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I kind of
That
like.
definition would be
So that's what Google
Yeah.
gives.
subjective. Yeah.
That makes it subjective to the individual. Yeah. Whatever gives them pleasure.
Like because I've actually had people and like you guys might run into trouble with this, but I've had this subject and they're like, Enley, like I would complain about the hospitals. They're like, Enley, I love the blandness. That is beautiful. I love the artwork that gives me anxiety and pain. Like I love that. Like that is beautiful in my eyes. And it's like
Yeah.
this is where I'm like, okay, we need to get to something subjective because like the golden ratio and everything, like I mean, we have urges going back to, like, our desires. We have urges. We look for these golden ratios in our partners if we're talking about physical attraction.
Yeah.
So, and obviously this goes into buildings, into artwork and other things, because like same thing, I walked and I saw the church and I'm like, oh my God, like everything was lost. That's happened to me plenty of times with a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
having a
some.
rough day, boom, walking across the street. I'm like, holy shit, who is that? I forgot about everything. I'm just in
Yeah.
the present moment,
Or a
just enjoying
sunset
your
or
beauty.
whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Um.
I believe
Yeah.
there's a
We can only
conspiracy.
build
Oh, go on.
and design what's beautiful to us. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, we can't please everyone, like as stewards of a project, you try your best to build something that's beautiful to yourself and you hope other people will find it beautiful. And I think that's kind of the magic of building something is like it will bring in the people that also resonate with that same vibration of beauty. So you can't make everyone happy. Someone's gonna think it's ugly, but that's okay. You don't build it for
Yeah.
them.
And I mean, what's going to
Exactly.
happen is, and it already happens, right? It happens all the time. It's just part of our nature. You build things, and then people who are attracted to those things flock to them, and become patrons, become members of those communities, and like the same thing's going to happen here. It's just we've gotten so ingrained in one way of building and one way of healthcare that we've taken it for granted. I think a lot of people don't have an expanded awareness around the other possibilities of how to build, of how to heal, of how to create a healthcare system that's a little bit different than what we've been a part of for over 100 years. And so I think now is a great time for people to start exploring what is true to them, what's beautiful for them, and then people will branch off and form their own little communities around whatever they're most drawn to. And I think over time you'll just see more and more people funneling away from the bland, dramatic, scary, weird pictures, modern pictures that you hate that make you anxious. I think more people will start to funnel away from those, and they'll start to trickle into different styles of places that have maybe a little bit more thought behind them than what has been created for the last 100 years or so.
See, with beauty, like I want to word this carefully, but like, because I want to say it's more objective, this is my opinion, more objective than subjective. Because sometimes I can't control how like I brought up like with the woman, the church I came across, or a sunset, like you brought up nature. Like sometimes I can't control that. It's involuntary. Like I see something like that, it stops my whole body. I
Hmm.
shut down. I just get in the present moment. Like that wasn't my choice. So that's why I'm saying it's
Hmm.
like more objective, and people that hate on it, because I feel like we live in a society full of resentment and envy, and they see something beautiful and they just want to tear it down because people don't like want to pedalize it or like bring it up to the forefront. They want to bring it down. And like this is why I want to be careful. Well, these aren't my words, but the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. I don't know if you guys know anything about Nietzsche in
Yeah,
general or follow.
Yeah.
just a little.
Yeah.
Nietzsche brings up, and he brings up beauty and these things. He's like, this is actually, and it's a little controversial. I'm just being my best with my words right now. But this is actually a fault of equality. Because the thing is, like, can everyone be beautiful? The thing is, we can't. We need to chop some people down. And this is what's happened in our society because not every building can be beautiful. And you guys know better than me since you're in that business. Like, well, what are the costs? I mean, how much time do we have on the project? How big is the area? What are the materials there's so much going on. And I think this is what's happened. It's like not everything can be beautiful, so let's make everything hideous. Like this is the least common denominator. This is the easiest thing to do because we can't do this in life. Like not everyone can be equal. Like for example, like again, it might be getting a little political, but the Soviet Union, this is what they failed in. This is why it was such an awful place to live in because you can't make everybody rich. So the least common denominator where everyone can be at with the least amount of effort, I mean, that's why everybody's starving there. And obviously the architecture there of brutalism and everything, it's all the same thing. It's like we can't like bring everybody up. Because like naturally the world is filled with inequality that people don't want to talk about. And I'm not saying we should go toward that. Obviously, I'm for, all men are created equal. I really believe in that. But it's just obviously we see so many differences. Not everybody's the same.
I can't I can't remember what if it was the study was called or if it was just more of a survey, but I think they questioned, I think it was architecture students. They showed them two images. One was of some modern massive structure that was designed by some high-end name. And then the other picture was some favelas or slums in a third world country. And they questioned them like which one, I think the question was which one is more beautiful. And the majority of the room responded that the slums were more beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And those are arguably they don't cost anything to build, right? Other than people's time and labor. And the materials are like the beauty that's in them is given by the energy of the people occupying the space as well. So beauty doesn't have to be expensive. Um, so I think if you're going to build anything, you should try to build it to be beautiful. Like there's no reason to build anything that isn't beautiful. Like, cause it can all be done. And that's what Brian and I are trying to explore too. Like, how do we build these things, quote unquote, affordably, right? It kind of also goes back to our denominator of building these things to last for a long time so that the expense is spread out um, among hundreds of years as opposed to like what is the insurance company, right? They want builders to build for 30 years or
Yeah,
50 years or
useful
something
life.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I would argue anything that's gonna be permanent, you better put a lot of time and attention and careful thought into it. Nothing should ever be hastily built just for money
But
purposes.
just to kind of piggyback, and I like this conversation around objective versus subjective beauty, and there, I think you are, there's the part of that part of you that's right, or a part of your argument that's totally right, where it's like there's no denying that there's something that triggers. your something inside of you to stop and stare and just take it all in. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't know what that is, right? You can't explain it. There's something so deep that's resonating with, every ounce of your being, and you're just like, "Oh, I forgot everything about that. I was, stressed out about my family and, pissed off about this. Like I just froze and stopped." And people witness that with whatever it is, any like nature, they witness that quite often. And I think there is something objective in that. And it's making me just think about this, like this disconnectedness that our society has had with nature from with ourselves. From this, like we've all become so separate. And it leads me into this question around like, as we become more unified, as we become more one, as we realize that there is no separateness between us, right, and nature, and between individuals, and between the environment around us, like that we all are one. Like as we become closer and closer to that, does this impact of beauty become more heightened, so that those who are more in touch with the the rhythms of nature, the oneness with nature, the oneness with everything, are those the people who are impacted more highly by these visions of beauty, right? And those who might be more divisive, more separate, are those people who are less impacted. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thought that popped into my head, and I'm saying it. I think everybody's capable of being struck by beauty, even people who are maybe not as focused on this oneness, this becoming more in line with nature. But it is kind of an interesting thought, because as you get down to the essence of like who we are, if we go down to this like blueprint, right? If we're all a blueprint, a divine blueprint, including nature, and if us, like you talk about resonance, it's like if nature is resonating at its truest blueprint, right? Its truest form, and as we get closer to that, then those frequencies will start to match. And then that's when you get these moments, right? You're like, oh, like, okay, I'm home, right? Or there's something here that's really struck me. So that's what came up when you were chatting, and I just like, oh, I kind of want to go down this rabbit hole a little bit and explore this idea. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here, but it is an interesting thing to think about.
Every well, one thing I want to bring up, Mike, is those students. Do they live in slums? Is that why they chose the slums are more beautiful?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I'm not in their heads, but
They better
if
live in
I were
slums.
given, I know, right? Like, how dare they? I think. I think if I were to step in their shoes, right? I'm trying to imagine what they're thinking or feeling. I think what they're trying to say is like it's that modern piece of whatever they were looking at. It's lifeless. Like disregard, disregard the, I mean, fundamental lack that the people occupying those spaces may have in terms of resources and cleanliness and right and those are a lot of the standards that we put on third like places like that. Um, but we don't know how much love is in those spaces. We don't know how much community is in those spaces. Like arguably there could be a massive amount and mixed in with a massive amount of violence and crime, right? But I think what they're seeing in those spaces is just life, right? And when you look at modern blocks and cubes and um it looks scarce, it looks sparse. And and so not to say that there's probably less violence and less crime in those, but there's also maybe um, more disassociation from of the people occupying the space. Probably more disassociation of those people from who they truly are than the people living in the slums. Like maybe that's what they're seeing.
I
Mm.
think they're seeing
Um,
just more love, maybe, more love. When you see
Yeah.
when you see especially like small community housing, whether it's favelas or even just a small village, right? You just you see family, you see love, you see community. When you see something that was built with more of an objective for efficiency and cost savings, it's really easy to tell that there's not much love. built with those things.
It, but it doesn't mean that we know what's going on in either environment. Like
Yeah.
there could be
Right.
heinous
Yeah.
things going on in
That's true.
both.
Yeah.
I think I'm just saying those architecture students, I'm trying to think what they might have been seeing.
Mhm.
Like, and I think they may have been seeing the life
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
image.
Life is a good word for it. Yeah. I I'm remembering I don't know if it was a study or not, just an observation that I can't remember what it was, but I remember some of the folks who pointed to the architects who pointed to the glass and steel, the high-rise structures, or whatever they were, the modern structures. After they had taken the survey, they actually went to the person who had asked them later and were like, I actually think that whatever the village
Oh,
or whatever it was actually more beautiful, but I just couldn't because I think it was an open dialogue. It was in front of other architects. So people it wasn't
yeah, they couldn't have
their
yeah.
identities weren't concealed. They were just talking. I think it was a group of architects, a large group of architects at some kind of conference or something. And so they were like, yeah, I couldn't admit in public that this really notable new modern piece of architecture was less beautiful than that. And so they actually changed their mind
Huh.
later. Yeah. Yeah.
See, I find that interesting because I'm Albanian. I don't know if you know where that's from. It's borderline a third world country. My best friend's from Mexico. This is where I got this from.
Nice.
But I visited
That's cool.
Mexico, and like there's plenty of slums and shitty places out there. And then people don't realize this. What is hilarious, every time I walked into a house in Albania, in Mexico, I went to Mexico City. Like I was deep in Mexico. I was in Guanajuato, and then I went to Mexico City, and I was in some scary ass place. You know, I'm new. I'm a foreigner. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, like I was in some slums, some favelas, right? And then every time I walked in someone's house, I'm like, holy shit, this place is fucking nice. How much money do you spend in here?
Mm.
This does not match the outside. And I'm like, this is beautiful. And then I'm like, because I've been in America so long, like everybody's house on the outside is all nice and clean. And I walk inside and people still have their shoes on. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this? And then I realize like people try to make their house. This is what it is. You don't want to advertise, I have money. So you make your house look like shit. So I like to say it's kind of on purpose. This is what I've seen because especially in Mexico, like very clean people. And to be honest, they have a bad stereotype against that. Like from my perspective, all the Mexicans I know, they're very clean people. Even the ones with the lowest, like it blows my mind. They have so little money, but their hygiene is amazing, which blows my mind. And I meet some Americans, God, you fucking stink. I can't stand behind you in line. So like I like to say like that's interesting because those people find that beautiful because those people in those countries, like, I mean, I legit talked to them about this. They're like, Emily, I'm not trying to, I don't want people to fucking rob me. I'm not going to put
Yeah.
anything in front of my house. You know, inside, that's my privacy. I'm going to make that as beautiful as possible. On the outside, stay away. I'm poor.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting
Yeah.
because out
Yeah.
there, I would say, from my experience, from what I saw, they're trying to make their houses ugly
And
Mm.
to keep people
Yeah.
away. And in
purpose.
America, we keep up with the Joneses. Like, hey, my lawn's bigger than yours, or I got this nice car, but you go inside and it looks like a bomb went off.
Yeah. Yeah. Or there's nothing in there, right? It's just like a couch and a TV.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. And obviously out there, it's like you can't call the police. You got to take care of your own. You know, if someone robs you, it's like, well, I got to take care of this. You know what I'm saying? I go get my stuff back. Here, you know, we got people. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. I could call someone right now that has more firepower than me and guns, and they'll shoot for me. They don't even know who I am. They'll protect me. Insane. You don't have this in other countries. I got personal bodyguards on hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
They might not be super reliable, but if you're convincing enough,
Right, right.
yeah. Yeah, there's a documentary, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, but where people will call the police and they'll make stuff up and they'll, end up raiding houses and it was for like this is way off topic here. It was like intense gamers
Mhm.
would be like they'd be online against other people doing whatever game they were playing and they would one of them would call the cops and like do a bomb threat on the other, and so the police would raid the other people's house. Like the SWAT team would come in, like a full-on SWAT team would come in, and it would ruin the other guy's game. So then he would lose, right? And so then it would like
Hilarious.
level up. It would level up the other players because they would win just based on that. So the guy was like, in the middle of the game, you could hear him communicating, with other teammates, being like, you'd hear the SWAT team coming in, and he's like, "You guys, I can't play anymore." Like, and their SWAT team yelling,
Yeah.
hands up.
It's like you got to go. Yeah. You want to play? Go to play your game in a country that has less reliable police force.
Yeah, where they don't
That-
believe.
Stupid, but no one plays in America anymore, you idiot.
That is amazing, though. The level of safety we got, like I could legit do that, and like they're not even thinking about it. They're like, no, we're gonna make sure they're going there and find out in a bomb, then ignore the situation because that's the majority of countries. Like we don't give a shit. Like that's not our problem. Majority of cops, like when I was in Mexico, like you can't tell. I mean, the line is like, where's the police? Where's the cartel? And where I'm from in Albania, like the only way you go to jail in Albania is if you murder someone. And I'm glad the police force and everything has gotten that much better because they don't trust anybody out there. The police are like, I'm not doing that. There's a bomb. I don't give a shit. That's not my problem. Like, I don't want to get hurt. So that's honestly kind of amazing.
yeah.
But I don't like the abuse of it, though. I don't like the abuse of power like that.
Right.
I'll say that
yeah.
right there.
Yeah. There's this on one hand I'm extremely appreciative of the police force. Keeps where I'm living totally
Yes.
safe. And on the other hand, it's a small part of the other hand, right? Like this disconnect where we're literally delegating the power to kill someone to someone else.
Right.
Like we are giving someone the permission to kill someone else if it comes down to it, like to protect your own safety. Like, and it's so disconnected that people will like do what Brian's saying is like prank. And I'm like, that's like, if you actually think about it, how fucked up that is. Like, you are using that not privilege, you're using that resource like so loosely. Like you're so disconnected from what it actually means for these people to like strap on body armor and jump into a house where they think there's a bomb that you will call it in as a prank. Like that's kind of the level of society where you're like, you don't want to get there because no one understands, unless you're a police member, like what it actually means to do that on a day-to-day basis. And I think people need to be more in touch with that. Like I admittedly am out of touch with it. I just have a little glimpse of it, but we're not raised to like appreciate that kind of thing. Like we're just raised to like take it for granted.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it's just because it's this there all the time, right? Like it's just there. It's given to you. You just take it as like a, oh, this is just part of this is part of what I have, right? Like this is mine, right? Like it's at my disposal from a young age, that. And but yeah, it is odd though to like to have so much emphasis on another outside source to handle a lot of these different issues. And I even think about too, just like how much they get involved or how much they can get involved in circumstances that you'd look at like smaller communities that maybe don't have this resource that they're forced to deal with it on their own, which in some respects is like if it's not even murder, right? Like the most heinous crimes, sometimes you don't have that ability to have a legal system and police officers to mediate that, and you're forced to do it within the community. And I mean, I just look at like the American justice system and some of the stuff that you get like put in jail for, the police come and do their job, right? But then you have people who are in prison for stuff that you probably shouldn't be in prison for. So, yeah, this goes.
Another thing.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
For it. No, I'm good.
I got to bring this up too because people claim that, okay, because I brought up Mexico and like the lack of police force. But the thing is, there's actually less crime. Like I've lived in America for a long time. Yes, there's a lack of police force, but that's because it's not needed. Bad things don't happen. Like if you're not afraid to walk around an American city in America, you're not afraid to walk around anywhere in Mexico other than the places like, if I name on the top of my head, like Michoacan, like that's a like legit there's a cartel war against the government. Like, okay, that's legit, like there's legit a battle. There's a
Yeah.
war there. Like that's different. But average place in Mexico, even where I'm from in Albania, like these places that look bad, there's women and children walking by themselves. Like you don't necessarily need a police force because the people have different values. Because here, like, and I can tell you
Yeah.
in Albania, like, can I give you a story?
Yeah.
This, this will prove my point.
Yeah.
This blew me away. I went to Albania in September 2023, and we're in this plaza, right? This outdoor plaza, and there's a baby in a cart. And I'm like, and we're at this jewelry store, and I'm waiting outside for my mom and my sister to get out with my cousin. And I see this baby. I mean, we're taking, it's been an hour. I've been sitting outside. I'm like, God damn, when are they gonna be ready? And then I'm like, where's this mother at? She just left a baby in a stroller. Like, it's just been sitting here. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is awful. And it's like, honestly, the stroller had like a little like a shade thing, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't too hot, but it's still hot. It was like, I want to say 80 degrees outside. I'm like, this is just awful. Like, come on. I'm like, whose baby is this? And then my cousin and my sister came out and we saw the baby and we're looking at it. We're like, we can't leave this. We can't leave. My cousin's like, here, hey, we gotta go. We gotta go. He's like, because we're in a hurry. We got a bunch of things. I'm like, nah, this won't,
Yeah.
this would be horrible on my
Yeah.
conscience if I just left this baby here. And then he's like, okay, let's go. No, he's like, no, like we can't leave the baby here. Like, come on, like it's 80 degrees. There's nobody around. There's nobody around. Come on. He's like, what are you talking about, man? Oh, right now I'm frozen on my side.
Oh, you're coming back.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, come on, we can't leave. And he's like, stop being a weirdo. It's not your baby. Let's go. And then I took a stance. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not going to leave a kid out here that's been out here for an hour. Like, let's
Yeah.
find the mother. Let's find out what happened. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, it's not your baby. And then my sister is saying the same thing. We can't leave. Like, what's wrong with you? You're being an asshole. And then he's like looking at us. And then he just starts cracking up.
Uh,
And then he's like, oh, so America's that shitty of a place. You're telling me you can't leave a baby in a stroller for an hour in a public place. He's like, it's that. So you're telling me what do they do to babies in America? And me and my sister got so embarrassed. But then my cousin's like, I love you guys. You guys are awesome people because it showed our character. You don't even know whose baby
Yeah.
this is, and you're willing to stand here and protect it.
Yeah.
And he's like, Enley, in this country, women do this all the time.
Oh.
And he's like, you know what? We're going to wait. We're going to wait. Who gives a fuck about our schedule? We're going to wait to give you guys peace of mind. 30 minutes later, the mom came around. And then after that,
Yeah.
that's a normal occurrence in Albania. There's baby strollers everywhere in malls and grocery stores. Women just leave their babies anywhere. They
Oh,
have
wow,
complete
yeah.
trust. And my cousin's like, I mean, the only time someone would fuck with a baby stroller is, I don't know if there's a wad of cash in there, but what are they going to do with a baby? But then I was really embarrassed because I'm like, I don't want to say what people do to babies in my country that I live in.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, why would you fund a police force in this country if there's nobody committing crimes? Because you
Mhm.
can't do that in America. That blew my mind, the level of trust. And these people are poor too. They leave their backpacks and stuff out everywhere. And Mexico is very similar too. Because people want to say these places are dangerous. But like, all this stuff is perspective. It's just what we're used to. Because to them, they look at America. I'll never step foot in America. That place is fucking scary. Like the things like, and my cousin told all my family members, they're like, I've read this stuff in articles on the news, for like, I didn't think it was true. But then I'm talking to family members that came across to visit us, and they're like, yeah, you can't leave children out like this in public. They're like, what kind of place is this? They can't even fathom it.
Yeah. I mean, if
So
something that
Yeah.
happened to the U.S., you get Child Protective Services called on you, and then you get your baby probably
Right.
taken away. Yeah, if you were like a
But it makes sense though. It makes sense though here because I've experienced stuff like that in my neighborhood. I've seen things, I've heard stories. Like, you actually can't do that here. They don't understand the culture is different here. So you're right. In America, uh, you should call Child Protective Services on that mother. But in Albania or Mexico, that's fine. It's a different place, different values, different people.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, doesn't that baby get hungry? Like, my,
Yeah.
that baby,
I know,
that
right?
How
baby's gonna
old was
be
that?
want
How old was
food
that
after that.
baby?
Like, if they were my kids, they'd be
Uh,
crying in like 20 minutes.
I had been
Yeah.
a year old.
Maybe they're born. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. I have a one.
But no, I
I have a 1-year-old son.
yeah, I'm totally missing the point of the story. I did understand the point, and I totally agree with you, Eileen. But I was also just like, my mind was watering. I'm like, what kind of baby could be out there that long without getting sad?
Right.
Anyway, totally blew the point.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like countries too, people are a lot tougher with their children. Like, they leave them out in the sun, they leave them out in the cold, and they're like, that's life. I mean, it's just like, it's not gonna kill them. Like, here, like, we bundle up our kids and everything. Oh, we don't want you to get sick. I mean, like, helicopter parenting, like, because out there, it's like these kids could walk around the city, they could do whatever they want. Like, I was raised like that, and a lot of people, because my parents didn't know, because Lithuania is a dangerous place, but it's dangerous in different ways than America. Because I remember, like, I was 8 years old. I'd walk around my whole neighborhood. My parents would let me run around the stores. And I remember as a kid, my parents always getting shit on by other people. You don't take care of your kids. You're afraid you're going to snatch them up. But then this happened in my area. I don't know if you know about the Ariel Castro case. This guy kidnapped 3 women and kept them in his house for 10 years on the west side of Cleveland. And he got sentenced 1,000 years in prison. But that happened when I was a kid. That happened when I was a kid. These girls got kidnapped in my area. And then that's when reality set in. America's not the place to have your children running around. We live in a different country. There's different rules. There's different people here. An 8-year-old should not be walking around the block in Cleveland. Like, maybe in Albania, maybe you could do that there. But here, there's different types of, because in Albania, with people that kidnap kids and children, like, they get rid of them real quick. But here, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like, out there, they're not
Man,
humans. If you
I
do
never-
that to a kid, you're not a human being. So they do whatever they want with you. But the values are different here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. That's an interesting perspective.
They
That's
just
only
drop
something
the
you got to
frontal.
see.
And you kind of wonder. I mean,
Totally.
I just think about where I live, and if I were to leave, my son and his stroller for an hour or whatever, 30 minutes, I think it's safe. It's a safe neighborhood. I would almost guarantee, maybe not guarantee, but almost guarantee that, and maybe that's what we're talking about here. Is like, I can't guarantee it, like in Albania,
Right.
you'd be like, oh, I could guarantee my kid's going to be okay. But here, it's like I could probably with a super high level of certainty know that like someone will just call the police and say that there's a child here and that he would be completely fine. He might just be crying for a while, but that he'd be fine. And but yeah, it's definitely not everywhere. I think there's pockets of it for sure, but
It's community.
mhm. Yeah.
Like, we don't have real community. And I think that's part of it. Like, I'm guessing in the countries that you're describing, and like Mexico and where you're from, like, before they leave their baby, well, maybe not. Your story is not even that case. Like, they might just go over to someone that they've like seen a few dozen times because it's a tight knit community. Like, I'm gonna leave my baby here, like, just so someone knows, and they feel okay about it. Like, in my small town, I could see it happening where you're just like, I'm gonna go into the store for a minute and I'll tell these, townspeople what I'm doing, and you just feel way more comfortable about it because you can at least tell someone. But like, in the US, there's no community. There's no real community. Like, if you go to a massive park in a place like that, like, if you tell someone you're going to leave your baby, first they're going to judge you and be like, you don't know me, like, just because we share the title of Seattleites, like, you still don't know me. Whereas like other small towns, like yeah, I'm from Buena Vista, I'm from Buena Vista. Like we both share a set of values, and it's okay to leave your baby with a stranger because we both have similar backgrounds and we believe in the same thing. So yeah, leave your baby, and I'm cool with that. Like I'm not gonna call the cops. Like I think it all comes down to just community.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
totally. And there's a complete lack of trust in our average community because we can't
Yeah.
even like we expect everyone's going to do something bad to us. You know, if we leave our doors unlocked for a night or leave our car windows down,
Yeah.
even in relatively safe areas.
We just, yeah, we don't know
This
each
goes
other.
back.
Yeah, we don't know each other, and I think we've we've relied a lot on the news to tell us, you know, the horror stories in the world. So I think there's a level of that that does um, cloud our vision of the entire, you know, U.S. because there's pockets that are not that way, but it's because we don't know each other.
Totally.
You know, I'm like I live in a in a community. It's just a community of townhomes, and I we've been here for a year, but I really don't know, you know, anybody that lives around me. I even this is ridiculous actually, and I'd love to tell this story because it's just like this. I've told my wife enough times where she's like, but I blocked somebody's car from their driveway. You know, it wasn't, and it was just like it was made it harder for them to get into their garage. And they left a note and were like, you know, you blocked our driveway. And I think my mother-in-law had done the same thing. And so they were like, you did it again. But they didn't leave a name, they didn't leave a number, they didn't leave, you know, their unit number. And so I was like, oh man, I felt so bad. I just was like, whose unit could it be? I don't know. And I tried to guess and I bought a box of pastries and I went around to each of the units and I was just like, hey, was this you? I'm really sorry. You know, I didn't mean to do that. And I only was able to get to maybe like two or three units and there's not that many other around me. And they're like, no, it wasn't me. And so anyway, I left a box on the neighbor's doorstep um that I was like, okay, it has to be them, right? There's nobody else around. And I left my name, I left my number, like our names. I said, you know, left a note, and like nothing. You know, nobody texted, nobody, you know, came over and said, hey, you know,
Mm,
yeah, thank you for those. And then I was like, huh. And so I ran into the guy who the next day who I actually had blocked his card just by chance, and I was like, oh, my bad, like I'm sorry. And so I went the next day, bought him some pastries, dropped it off of his door, left my name, number, everything, and like nothing, like no, and nobody communicated with me whatsoever at all. Like, and I'm just like, that's so unusual, isn't it? Like to go out of your way to like try to build community after you thought you broke some trust with someone or you broke just being
right.
a good neighbor. And I was just like, God damn, like, like this is the example. It's like there's no sense of community. There's no sense of wanting to build relationships. And so much, I think, of like American culture, especially in cities. Like I live in Seattle, right? Like I live in not in downtown, but pretty close to downtown. So I live in like
Mm.
very densely populated city area, and so I was like, man, that's just it was kind of a downer.
That's so disheartening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, oh my God. I'm just thinking of my neighbors. Like you give them something and they return the Tupperware with something else
Mm,
in it.
Nice.
Like like
Awesome.
yeah. I'm like, what? Those people are just it's almost like you're a nuisance. Like go away, leave me alone. Like
Mm.
I don't even want human.
yeah, I've been trying to. My wife and I were like, I was just trying to fathom like what could be going on. You know, like there's something going on in their lives where they're just like, oh, I feel like this is. I don't even know if they ate the pastries, right? They probably threw them out if they were like too afraid to. You know, can you like
What
I
wrapped?
mean, they were just in a box, right? They weren't like individually wrapped. So they were from like a nice big,
Probably
yeah.
sneezed on 'em.
Hey
Uh,
guys, I don't want to break up the flow, but I drank a lot of coffee. I need to go to the restroom again. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. I don't want to
I'm
leave off
I'm
screen.
gonna go do. Hey, but guys, I also need to jet in a few
oh,
minutes
do
too.
you?
So
Okay.
FYI.
When do you need
Yeah,
to go?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you about it after. I have a bunch of things happening today anyway, I'll tell you about it
When do
after
you
the
need to
call.
go? When? Like what time?
I've got like 12
Okay.
minutes. I got to wrap it up here in
Okay.
a second. I'm gonna use the bathroom too, though.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Mike's going too. You're
Yep.
good. You're good.
But yeah, yeah. To stick with that topic, another thing too is like another thing I learned when I was in Albania was this blew my mind. Albania is one of the poorest countries in Europe,
Yeah.
right? And 96% of the people own their own home.
Oh wow.
The highest, that's the highest in Europe.
Yeah, no kidding. That's
Like
like
I'm like
everybody.
I'm like so and it's funny too because haters on my country want to say we're poor, we're not developed. I'm like, we actually own our own homes. And then another thing too, that cements the community because like those houses go through generations. Like here, it's just like my neighbor can move the next day and I wouldn't know. And there's a
Mm.
brand new family.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
everyone just gets replaced. So like that's another thing with the lack of community. And it is kind of scary too. Is like, like people talk about like, is there a fucking murderer that lives next door? Like I wouldn't
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
because he just pops up. But then you got someone in Albania and it's Europe too. Like this house is an old house. No, I'm sorry. A newer house in Europe is about like 500 years old. You know what I'm saying? There's people that live in 1,000-year-old houses.
Yeah.
This is how old some of these things get. Like, and out there, it's just like, well, there's generations of families that live in there. We know the community, we know the culture, we know how these people are like. So that's why, like, I feel like that's why there's so much more trust and the way their communities are built and going back to the architecture because you actually want to leave your house because you're like, I want to walk through the city center because it's actually beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And then people come together and they're there because they want to enjoy their time with their family and look at beautiful buildings and trees and plant and everything they've planted around there.
Yeah. I mean,
But like,
the temporariness of like city living and the impermanence of just of renting and of not owning, and even just the nature of how we decide where to live. Like we're often driven to live in certain areas just because of our jobs. And so we'll
yeah,
we'll go thousands of miles away from home to a job after we've graduated college or wherever, right? And so we start to move into these communities that really have no meaning to us, like then you go for a job, but the people you work with, you don't, some you might connect with, but you don't live with those people. So you're living with a group of other
mm,
people that you don't really know, but you might get to know, but who knows what's to stop you from moving back home. And so there's just yeah, this movement of people across the country for a purpose that really doesn't drive community. Like working for a company doesn't drive community, and like just living in a house because it's a beautiful house because you like it doesn't build community.
mm.
And I mean, it's just, yeah, like having these generational homes that have been there for so long too, especially if they're beautiful properties that you want to maintain, you want to have, you want to keep them beautiful. And yeah, it's just like there's so much to it. There's so much about living in spaces with intention that brings about community in ways that we don't really see in like modern city living in particular.
Another thing too, it's like because this is happening in Albania too. Like people, like younger people like me are going away for college. They're getting away from their communities. You know, I don't know what you would call it. Because at first I want to say it's just Americanization of the world, but I wouldn't even say that. Maybe globalization. I don't know, like everything that's happening in the cities and stuff. But like America's so individualistic because everything's about me. Like I'm willing to leave my family to improve myself. Because therefore the idea is I'll help my family in the end. I put my oxygen mask on first to help other, you know what I'm saying, before I
Mhm.
put it on someone else. That's kind of the philosophy. And the old school philosophy is obviously no, the family, the community matters first. The community comes first, not your desires. But
Yeah.
this is what we're heading toward. And we're kind of seeing there's pros and cons to both. Because, I mean, why did we change that? You know what I'm saying? So we're seeing it. A little
Mhm.
experiment we're running here in America in
Yeah.
the Western world.
Yeah.
I think there's like a nice mixing of both of those ideas that I don't know. I haven't heard of a community that does this, but I think my ideal community is a community that understands a person will help their neighbors when they are helping themselves first, like you're saying with the oxygen mask kind of thing.
Mm.
But at the same time, the community acknowledges it. Like, and I think that, well, I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen this before. I think there's a lot of that today. Like, you go do what you need to do to fulfill your meaning on this place, and whatever it is that you need to do to be truly authentic, the fullest version of yourself, we know that that version of you will help the community 100 times more, 1,000 times more than if you were just to stay here and just do the things we tell you to do to help the community. So I think that's the model of community I'm looking for, is like, go do you and figure out what that means, because you'll bring it back and it'll help us out, you know, in 5, 10 years or whatever it is. And we'll be better off because we let you do your thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird, it is a weird dilemma. Because there are so many of us that don't feel like fully connected to home. And I know, and I think that's a part of the reason why people leave is, we grow up in a in a world where individuals and, children that turn into adults just don't have that deep connection to home, that don't have that deep connection to their family. Um, and so it just makes it easier for them to depart, to seek other things. But yeah, I think doing that yeah, it's totally, it's an individual journey. And I think you do have to just do what's right for you. Yeah. But if that means moving a
In the
thousand miles
culture.
away. Mhm.
I mean, I mean, I like to say I have some old school values, but I realize in this culture you can't do that. Like with money and everything, and like everyone living in one house, because in those older communities, that stuff works out. But the way the system and everything's built up, like you're literally just better off doing your own thing. And anyways, it's like you're kind of pushing a different culture on the existing one. And it's like, well, first of all, you're not powerful enough to change it just on your own. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like that would be like if I took this individualistic culture and I went to some Albanian village in the mountains. They're like, nah, that
Yeah.
doesn't fly here, man.
Yeah.
You're not
Yes.
gonna work out. You're not gonna
Yeah.
be successful here. Stop that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 Oh, I know. I could go on, Mike. I know you got to run here in a second. And I was like, oh, I don't. Do I want to open up another rabbit hole, or do we want to? Is there anything, Mike? You have to leave like in 3 minutes.
No, I mean, it's a little bit flexible, but why you want to talk about one
Oh
more
no,
thing?
I just could feel like, you know, I just didn't want to get caught up without like, yeah, caught up in a new conversation without having to like wrap it up and then having you just bounce in the middle of it. So that's what I was trying to avoid.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys.
No,
A day. I've got things.
yeah, the etiquette
Nah, all good.
etiquette on a podcast is, Mike, you tell people before it starts, your end time. I'm just giving you shit.
I saw the hour on the calendar. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't know. I didn't think it would last longer, but I'm glad we're doing it longer. Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
feeling, Enley, that
yeah.
we could rant for a while. Um,
Oh yeah.
is there any? I mean, Enley, I was just gonna go back to you on your shirtless posts that you make with you in the snow of Ohio, and just like appreciate your the like the the stress you put your body under to tackle what your inflammation or whatever. I forget what video it was, but just cracked me up. And then just seeing how many times you're
Mm.
out in the snow with no shirt on, I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, man. Like I'm a huge fan of Wim Hof. Guy's an
Yeah.
inspiration to me. And like, he's helped me like massively in life. Like yeah, where this all started was my hairline was receding,
Oh yeah.
and like, and I don't have a bad hairline, right? But like it was getting so far back at one point. I'm like, you know what? This is embarrassing. I just need to shave. I'm gonna go bald.
Yeah.
But I was looking into it, and there's no bald people in my family. on both sides. Even elderly people have a full head of hair. Like it might be thinning, but they have a full head of hair.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and like right here, you can see this goes a little bit farther, but like this is just like a colic. Like my dad has this. So just naturally, this isn't even me like balding. Like it's just one side's higher than the other. And I started taking cold showers. I was taking pictures of this. My hairline was coming back. I swear to God. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on? I swear, I was balding. I was freaking out because I'm like, did I just cure baldness? Like, I could be a fucking billionaire. But like, I'm like, I swear, yeah. And like, it was coming back because I realized I was so inflamed. Like, because I shower regularly. Gotta say this. But it was just, no, I had a hella dandruff. But when I was looking at it, I'm like, this kind of looks like, because I've had psoriasis before, I've had inflammation problems. And I'm like, this kind of looks like psoriasis, how flaky it is, but it's under my scalp. And dandruff is actually a form of inflammation, dermatitis, itis. That's how something inflammatory
Mm.
at the end. And I noticed this was coming back. I went to my doctor about this. Man, she's like, basically, not word for word, but quit bitching, calm down. You're a man, shave your head, deal with it. Stop being insecure. And I showed her pictures. No, I'm not insecure. It's not in my family history. Why is my hair coming back? She had no idea what to say.
Yeah.
And I really believe baldness. This is why so many men are balding. So many men are losing their hair at such a young age because I know so many guys in their 20s, their hairline is receding. But I believe it's inflammation. And since I've been going out in the cold, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, there's so many times I'm like, I've got anxiety, I got depression. The psoriasis was a big problem. Like, I mean, I'm just less red all the time. But when I stop going out into the cold, bad things start happening to me. And my hair was the biggest one because I almost shaved my whole head off. But then I realized how many benefits it was giving me. I'm like, now I'm just addicted. Like, I know I look like a lunatic, but I'm like, I'm doing this for my health. Like, I teach people, like in my coaching program, all this stuff because inflammation is rampant in our society. But the thing is, we don't even stress, and this is good stress, I believe, because we're meant to be out in the cold. Like we're just meant, and especially like, I mean, maybe not me. Like where I'm from in Albania, the coldest it gets is 60 degrees. But majority of people that live in this country or like Northern Europeans, I mean, you got German and English people. It gets cold in these areas. You're meant to be like, it's legit in your biology to be cold.
Yeah.
Like it just is. It's just a natural part of life. Like heaters weren't invented like, I don't know, we'd have to look at maybe 100 years ago, right? But we're supposed to be in the cold. Like I live by this. I mean, there's very few people that should not be in the cold. I'll say that, disclaimer. Like if you got like high blood pressure, heart problems, because it is going to ramp up your anxiety. You are going to be breathing more. Blood's going to be pumping more because your blood's restricted when you're cold.
Yeah.
But I'm all about that stuff, man.
Yeah, those people in the Caribbean don't do well in the cold, but yeah, no, I love the cold. I do,
Nah.
I do cold showers. Um,
Hell
I,
yeah.
yeah, I did like Wim Hof did a 60-day cold shower challenge, and prior to that, I hadn't really gotten committed to it. But once I went through that, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. It was, I mean, it also like for fear. I don't know about you, but like fear, it almost eliminated fear or just highly reduced
Yes.
levels of fear and anxiety. I was like, oh, I don't care. There's so many things where I just like noticed. I just like I don't care about any of these things, not nearly as much, or at least to the level to that degree. And that was surprising to me. Just the level of reduction that I had in fear over whatever money, work, anything. It was
Yes.
just
Yes.
oh, this doesn't really matter. I mean, it's oh, you got a book? You're
No, this is the Ultra Mind Body Solution by Mark Hyman. This guy was a doctor, basically down the street from me in Cleveland Clinic. But this was pretty controversial in 2009. He wrote this book in 2009. Maybe not today, it's not controversial. But he actually brings up that, like, he claims in the book, he's not going to say he's cured mental illness, but he's definitely alleviated the symptoms. And one thing he's noticed with, like, anxiety, depression is just inflammation. Your brain is just inflamed. And when you get in the cold or in a cold shower, you just got water going over your head. That's why the inflammation's gone. the depression and the anxiety, because you're just inflamed. You don't actually have, like, like the thing, I don't know, is it, did it start from the chicken or the egg? You know what I'm saying? Like, what came first? The inflammation or the mental illness?
Hmm.
And like, like this guy, he would change people's diets up to a less inflammatory diet. And like, he's got an example in the book, which blew my mind. This autistic kid with his handwriting was messy. You can't even read anything. And then 6 weeks after this diet, it was pretty damn neat that he put in the book. And he was just saying his brain is just working better. His brain's not on fire, basically. Because that's what's
Yeah.
happened when you're anxious and all those things. And that's what the cold does. And we're so inflamed. We actually think like that's normal in our society. Those problems, they're like, that's life. No, that's not life. You know what I'm saying? You need to change your lifestyle. You're just saying that because everybody else around you is like that. But I've experienced the same thing, Brian. The
Yeah.
same exact thing.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I do it. Yeah. I don't do it every day, but almost every day. I just, yeah, however I'm feeling.
I don't buy this thing where everyone's accepting this certain level of toxicity and there's like an acceptable level of inflammation. And I'm just like, what is this? Why doesn't everyone just want to feel as amazing as they possibly can? Like,
Yes.
it just that statement right there, some people are like, that's unrealistic. How could you think like that? You're living in the wrong times. I'm like, why is that so much to ask? Like, why can't we get rid of toxins? Why can't we eat a better diet? Why can't we surround ourselves with people and work that don't stress us out, that like reduce all this inflammation? um I'm like, and the cold is a like, yeah, we are inflamed, and the cold alleviates that. It also, you start asking the question, why am I inflamed? Like, what is the root cause of this inflammation? And I don't know, the chicken or the egg thing. Like, did you have inflammation? Like, anyway, you don't know why, but it just starts this whole journey, this healing journey of like, what is actually causing this? And it's probably a lot of things, and it's usually food and diet, but it's also a lot, it gets into your quote unquote trauma. Like,
Mhm.
what kind of baggage are you carrying around? But like pulling on all those levers, you never isolate one thing. I found you never isolate one thing. Oh, it was for sure when I removed this thing. It seems to be that like when you remove something, it also, there's other things that kind of come with it. Like,
Mm.
there's an emotional thing that's released, or a physical thing that's released, or a mental thing, or a stressor that goes with it. So anyway, yeah, I'm I'm hearing you on this whole inflammation thing. It's like, let's get rid of it.
I loved how you brought that up. And the thing is, the reason why you can't talk to people about this is because the inflammation is affecting their mindset or their frequency or state of mind. So,
Yeah.
and you can't make proper decisions in that state of mind. Like, you guys own a business. I'm sure if you're dealing with some stress or you're pissed off or you're in a bad state, I'm not going to make major business decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to, like, it's just not going to be good. Like,
Yeah.
and I learned this from a client of mine. I had this client that was so fucking inflamed. Like, I could see it a mile away. But this guy, he was in such a bad state of mind. And this goes to not just the brain, but your gut health. Because if your brain's inflamed, most likely your gut's inflamed. And this guy, oh, I can tell, I can talk to him about anything. Because first of all, like, it's crazy too, because he's paying me. He's paying to disagree with me. This is your average client.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, but this guy's like, he's like, you're not a doctor, Enley. True. But the problem is in our society, because we sound like lunatics, because we don't have any authority on inflammation. Because inflammation's kind of, what's the word? It's not really concrete. It's many things. It gets kind of abstract. Like, what is this? You can't pinpoint it. Like, where's it at? What's causing it? And that's another problem with it. And obviously, we're not MDs, so we don't have any authority on it. We can't be telling people. And this guy, what blew my mind with him was he was arguing with me on this. This guy has ulcerative colitis. He actually, this is insane. His colon got so inflamed, they had to surgically remove it, put it on the outside of his body, and his colon was in a bag. I've seen this man's colon. And this guy's
Whoa.
arguing with me on inflammation. He's about to lose his colon. He's like, I'm not going to listen to you, Emily. I'm saying simple stuff. Hey, how about you take a cold shower? Eat some more fruits. No, like simple stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, less sugar. No, nothing crazy. I'm not a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying anything I would say, a doctor would agree. Like, yeah, your personal trainer is right. I'm not diagnosing or giving him anything crazy.
Yeah,
But this man, but then I realized during that time, what made me learn, I'm talking to a brick wall because his mind is so inflamed he cannot think straight. The man's colon is outside of his body. Like I can't reason with him.
yeah.
And the thing is, it gets difficult because because obviously as a personal trainer, like I have to deal with a lot of inflamed people. So how do I talk to them? Because I want them to get the message. Like I swear I care about this guy's inflammation more than he does, honestly. Because he's like, I'm not listening to you, even though my colon's inside my body. Like I don't want to talk shit to him. But I think I'm doing a little bit better than you.
You should make all your clients do cold showers before they talk to you.
No,
Part of the routine. Part of your
absolutely. I mean, if you're a young man and you have a healthy heart, and I'm pretty sure any doctor would agree with this, yeah, you could try some cold therapy. And you don't have to do what I'm doing, because the stuff I'm doing is a little extreme. But you could have a hot shower, turn it cold, then turn it back. That's still good. You know what I'm saying? You
That
still
works
get some
too.
benefits.
Yeah, that works. It works great.
But I
Mike,
just brought up that story because
Mike, I was
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, do we need to wrap this up, Mike? I know you.
Yeah, it'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Oh no, all good.
He's
all
been
good.
on borrowed
hours.
time. Yeah, it's been fun chatting with you.
This was awesome though.
And like I'm glad we just ranted and were able to go for like an hour and a half and just chat about whatever. So yeah, we had some fun conversations, and the depth we went into on some of this stuff too, like beauty and just beauty was like, whoa, like I love that conversation. So
Oh yeah,
um,
I didn't
well,
expect any of that either, honestly.
yeah, if you get up to Colorado, come check out our sauna that we're building, and you're allowed to take your shirt off.
Oh yeah, you got a sauna?
Yeah, we're building one. Yeah, so yeah, if you're in the Rocky Mountains in Buena Vista, come up and we'll give you a sauna session, and you can.
Oh hell yeah! If you guys got a
For
sauna,
sure.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Well, cool, man. Well, yeah, good to see you. And I'll check. Oh, I guess we'll see each other next weekend or maybe the week after. I can't remember. But
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, fun chatting with you.
If you don't mind me asking, how are you gonna send this video in general?
I don't know. I think I can send you a link actually, and then you can download it.
Okay.
I think you
Nice.
can, yeah. So it's like
All right.
super easy. I think that's the easiest way to do it. That way I don't like send you a big file.
Got you.
Yeah.
Damn, a great experience using new technology, great conversations. We're gonna have some awesome clips.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be blowing you guys up
Yeah.
with the tags.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, man. We didn't talk about anything over our boundaries either. I was kind of like hoping we would get there, but we didn't.
Really?
Maybe
Okay.
we'll do that on the next one.
You'd be surprised though. Everything I did talk to you guys about, like for example, in personal training with the inflammation, I've gotten a lot of backlash in my life. They're like, you don't talk about that in the workplace. Or beauty. Like
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've lost friends and clients over all these conversations. So I'm glad how open-minded you guys are. This is awesome to meet people like this.
Yeah, we just scratched the surface, Emily, man. We didn't go that deep. We could get way more.
Oh, we gotta do another one. We gotta do another one, guys.
Yeah.
Definitely gotta keep in touch.
Yeah,
This is
let's
amazing.
do it.
Cool. For sure.
All right. Well,
Absolutely.
good talking with you, man.
Definitely. We'll get another one in sometime.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you later.
Cool.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right.